Can I go ahead?
All right, we're going to start up with item number 13, an application for a certificate of appropriateness. It's actually written incorrectly on this agenda. In the Borough of Manhattan, docket number 53-71, 53 West 71st Street in the Upper West Side, Central Park West Historic District. Docket number 16-3755, block 1124, lot 10. And this is a neo-Greek style row house designed by John Sexton and built in 1885 to 86. And the application is to replace windows.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Aaliyah Brazil, Preservation staff. Michael Ingui of Bax Ingui Architects will be presenting this item.
Good afternoon, Michael Ingui from Bax Ingui Architects. The house currently has aluminum replacement windows. Underneath one of the panning was enough of a brick mold where we were able to get a good profile. We'll be matching the profile of the existing brick mold. The windows will be passive house windows. There will be Zola, which we've gotten approved here a number of times before, and they'll be painted black. And they're 1/1.
And,
Sorry, guys.
and historically, they were always 1/1?
They were always, yeah, yes,
Okay, so the only change is the operability, is that it?
yes.
Okay. Any questions, Adi? Any questions? Okay, are there any speakers on this item? Any speakers?
Yes.
Yes? Yeah, please come forward. I'm sorry, I didn't, okay.
Max Yeston, Landmark West. Although the commissioners are limiting themselves to reviewing only the proposed replacement windows, we are deeply concerned that the remainder of the building is simply too important not to receive a formal review by the commissioners and is instead merely being reviewed at staff level. Therefore, there is no public input, which is essential to upholding the landmarks law. So many key aspects of this application, the penthouse removal, rear addition, brownstone resurfacing, ironwork, and the stoop restoration will have a crucial effect on the character of this row house. Our committee cannot support this application as presented. The visual impact of the proposed simulated double-hung windows is startlingly different than a typical double-hung window. If the commission examines image number, so they're on paper. Image number 5 on slide 1, the effect from the altered window reads more like a swinging door than a traditional double-hung window. Our committee recommends the continuation of the true double-hung window. As the 2013 Landmarks Commission window rules state in Section 3, subsection 4, C2IA, replacement windows may be approved on row houses in historic districts, quote, if they match the historic windows in terms of configuration, operation, details, material, and finish, unquote. The applicant does not adhere to the criterion of operation. Therefore, these windows do not meet the rules, are not appropriate, and cannot be approved. Although the rules do say that a new, quote, straight-headed double-hung 1/1, unquote, sash is acceptable as long as it is installed in the same plane as the historic sash, this only applies to this application when the windows are closed. The moment all the windows on the front facade are swung open, the bottom sash will no longer be in the same plane and will end up producing an entirely different effect. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to clarify something to you, Max, that even though, the criteria that you identified was at staff level, so when the staff says that they can't do it, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's inappropriate. It means it has to come before the commission, and the commission will identify whether it's, or discuss whether it's appropriate or not. Okay. Are there other speakers on this item? Any other speakers? All right. Mr. Ingrid, do you want to respond back?
Yeah, thank you. The windows in question can open this way. I think it's unlikely. They're actually tilt turns, so it's most likely they'll be tilted in if they're opened. This comes into the room about 3 feet. It needs to be that way because of egress. These are tilt turns which are done throughout the city, and actually when they're in a closed position, standing in front of them, it's very difficult to tell the double hungs. This is a Zola window. It has the same meeting rail as the double hung. I think it's one of the only ones that has it right now. And although it swings open and we wanted to be honest about that, what that looks like when it happens, I think it's unlikely that someone's going to open up all the windows in their front facade when you look at it that way. In terms of what we're doing,
And the reason is because they just take up too much room inside?
yeah, I mean, it really comes in like 3 feet. I mean, especially the large parlor windows. I mean, they're huge. But it has to happen in New York City because of egress. Otherwise, it would just be a tilt turn.
And you can't get out, so,
Yeah.
right, and these are means of getting out of it.
In fact, actually, a window this size tilted in provides more free area than a typical double hung opened all the way, because it's just a tall window. In terms of what we're doing to the facade, we're reinstalling the stoop. We're restoring the facade to what it looked like when it was originally built. We're bringing the house back to a single family. We're taking down what I could have argued as a legal rooftop addition, and we're just leaving the bulkhead. So I feel confident with what we're doing to the house.
And those were anyway approved at staff
That's
level.
that, yeah.
Okay, are there any questions? Yes, Roberta?
Yes, what was the comment about as an exit? Is this window used as an exit, you said?
So all windows in New York City have to be used for, sorry.
Yeah, same way.
Sorry. All windows in New York City have to be light and air, but we also have to have egress ability from them. So most of the windows that you see, unless they're in a high-rise and over a certain story, have to swing in or have to have the ability to swing some way so you can get out. So a casement window could be either an in-swinging casement or an out-swinging casement. In this case, to be a simulated double hung, it can only swing in, otherwise you won't get that
And
effect.
how many apartments are in this building?
This is a one-family. Yeah. So in other words, because it's a 5-story building or less, every window in the front, the fire department has to have the ability to get into them. It's a typical, I mean, it's a code requirement for all windows. I mean, unless you have another window in there that's comparable.
Okay, any concerns with the proposal? Any concerns? Okay, if there are no concerns, then we can close the hearing. Okay, Roberta, will you read that, please? Okay, thank you. Do you have it? It's page 12.
Matter of 53 West 72nd Street, application is to replace windows at the front facade. I recommend approval, finding that the existing modern replacement windows do not match the historic windows and detract from the character of the row house. That the proposed windows will restore the historic configuration, material and finish, and will help return the building closer to its historic appearance. Now that the proposed sash and frame closely match the historic windows in terms of details, profiles, and dimensions, that the fixed upper sash will be in a different plane from the lower sash, replicating the appearance of the historic window sash, that the change in operation at the lower sash will only be perceptible when the sash is open, which will only occur on a limited basis due to the passive house requirements. That the high energy performance standards of the building program cannot be achieved with a double hung window operation. And therefore, the advanced technology used in the proposed windows, customized to match the appearance of the historic windows, is a necessary component of this extremely energy efficient adaptation of the building.
All in favor? Any opposed? This application has been approved.